My name is Evans. Today we will be having Janet Chesang. She will be guiding us through Fiverr. So she will be guiding us how to create the Fiverr profile and how to optimize it. I hope we have Janet on the call. Janet, are you here?
Yes, Evans, I'm on the call.
All right, nice. Okay, so we have Janet on the call. So, as I've said, Janet will be guiding us through optimizing our Fiverr profile. So, Fiverr is a freelancing platform where you can go and maybe, as Janet will tell us later, you will go and maybe post your. It's like a shop. She will explain all that to you, and it's really interesting. So, I hope that you guys will stick to the end. And all the best. Janet, welcome.
Thank you, Evans. Yeah, so I'll be the one who will be taking you guys through the Fiverr platform. So allow me to share my screen. So first, confirm that you can all hear me. Confirm that you can hear me, and good evening to everyone. Good evening. Good evening. It's rainy where I am, so it's a bit chilly. I don't know how it is from your end. How is it from your end, and where are you joining us from? I don't know. Where are you joining us from? Karen, Lewis, Calvin. I'd like to know where you're joining us from. Yes. So you can just inform me from the chat box before I start my presentation. So in the meantime, I'll just share my screen. Then we can get started. Yeah, so I can see the feedbacks. Quite a number joining from Nairobi. I'm joining the call from Nakuru. Yeah. So Karibuni from Ruiru, from Kiambu, and it's quite cold. That is for Patrick. So take Fiverr as a supermarket. Fiverr is a marketplace where everybody comes and puts their skills. Yeah, they just come, put their skill, display their skills, whatever, any skill that you're able to, any skill that you have, a skill that you're able to do, deliver, and then get paid. You just display it on Fiverr as a gig. As a gig. So analyze that as a gig. So just take that as a marketplace. When you go to the supermarket, you can go to the bread shelves, and there you'll find several brands of bread. We have Kingsmill, we have Broadways, we have this other one, I've forgotten the name, but it's upon you, the buyer, to select what brand you want based on quality, the packaging, the weight tests, and different other ways you're going to select that bread. So the same way for Fiverr. You create a gig, and then a buyer is going to come and pick the gig that has impressed him or her. So Fiverr has two interfaces, the buyer's interface and the seller's interface. Okay, so the buyer's interface, the buyer will just come in, search for a skill, and then gigs are going to pop up. I'm going to display that. And then for a seller's interface, it's just going to display the number of orders that you're doing, your performance on the platform, like for example, your inbox rate, your response time, okay, clients analytics, the clients you've worked for, your earnings, the way you can withdraw them, all that. That is the buyer side. So it's so easy to get started on Fiverr. Very, very, very easy. One, you should set up a Fiverr account, and you sign up using an email address. Only that. An email address or a third party such as Google or Facebook. Once you have an account, that is not enough. That is not what is going to give you a job. Okay. For Upwork, for instance, Upwork, you just set up your account, you set up your profile, and then you start bidding. For Fiverr, that is not going to give you a job. You have to have an account. Then the most important thing is to create a gig. A gig is your skill. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the Fiverr account, and I'm going to display how it looks like. That is how the seller's interface looks like. But before we go to this demonstration, what skill do you have, and what skill do you think you can confidently sell? Like you can deliver and get an earning? That is my question to everybody here. What skill do you have? It could be any skill. Anything sells on Fiverr. Yeah. So my question to every attendee in this call is, what skill do you have that you think you can confidently deliver and get an earning? Let me go back to, yeah, so you can engage with me on that. What skill do you think you have and you can deliver and get paid? On the chat box, I'm just trying to know the type of audience that I have. Anything. It could be cloud, it could be digital marketing, it could be writing, it could be transcription, it could be AI, it could be coding, software engineering. Yeah, so that is just my simple question to everyone in the call. Yeah, Python programming, software development, DevOps and cloud computing, software development, web design, that's good. Okay, which other one? Yeah. So everybody, I want to believe that everyone in this call has a skill. And what I want to encourage everybody is that you don't sit on your skill. As I started presenting, I said that we have to acknowledge that we don't have jobs in Kenya, and Kenyan youth have to take an extra mile. Yeah, maybe joining freelancing platforms to just get a job. And the good news is for IT, anybody with IT skills, anybody with cybersecurity, cloud computing, programming skills, software engineering, those skills, I can say it's not very competitive compared to previous skills that people used to use for freelancing. For example, writing, yeah. For example, transcription. If you have IT skills, you'll do very well in the freelancing space or online work. So if you have those skills and you still don't have a freelancing account, that is something that you have to look at after this call. You can start with Fiverr or any other platform, but for today, you're going to tackle Fiverr. Yeah, so as I said, we have two interfaces on Fiverr. So one is the seller's side and the buyer side. So this is the sellers. So everybody in this call, I'm speaking to sellers, people who want to sell their skill on Fiverr. This is how it looks. So this is my rating, my inbox rates. How fast do I respond to clients? Delivery time if I get a job. Okay. Then we have the business side. So on the business side, we have the gigs. So gigs is what the clients are going to see. Okay. So you can see for my gigs, I teach cloud computing. I assist with AWS certification. Infrastructure is code. Yeah. And before I used to do business plans. Yeah. Then we have this other side. If you have an order, then the part of earnings, that is this is just an interface for the sellers. If you want, at some point, you want to promote your gig, you're going to growth and marketing, and then you have analytics. So let me just show you how analytics looks like. So it's going to display your earnings, and we have levels on Fiverr. So if you're a new seller, if you're very new to Fiverr, you're going to become a new seller. Then you graduate to level one seller, then to level two. So currently I'm a level two seller. Okay. So when you come at analytics, maybe these are the number of clients I've worked with, and most of my clients, for according to the World Dominion, this is where they come from. Most of my clients come from the US and Canada, most of them. Yeah, or the clients I've worked with. Of course, I've ever had a Kenyan client from Saudi Arabia, United Kingdom, from France, from Australia. Yeah, those are the number of sales. This is just how the seller's interface looks like. So I'm able to switch. I'm able to switch to the buyer's interface. And this is how the buyer's interface looks like. So the buyer comes and search for a skill. So it could be that I'm looking for an AWS solutions architect. AWS solution architect, because I want somebody to design my infrastructure for me. Okay. So they'll just come and search for AWS solutions architect. And you'll see what is going to pop up is gigs. Yeah, these are skills by different freelancers. So we can see for Zane says, I'll be your certified AWS Cloud Solutions Architect. I'll be your AWS Solutions Architect. All these guys are able to offer the solutions architect service. If you're a DevOps, you're looking for an AWS DevOps engineer. I'm also going to get gigs. Yeah. And you can see we have somebody who can do Docker and Kubernetes. All these are DevOps gigs. So as a buyer, I'm just going to identify one of the sellers, something that is going to impress me. So one thing to note with Fiverr, the client will always have an option of filtering clients who are on and offline. Okay. Let me use another skill. Maybe I want somebody who's just good with EC2. As a client, they're not very technical. All they know is that they want to search their server in the AWS cloud. So maybe they'll just search for EC2. Then he's going to have a pop of different gigs from different sellers. Okay, like these are the first gig I'll set up an AWS EC2 server with LAMP and SSL certificates, and then we have which other seller that has. I will manage Amazon AWS EC2 Lambda, EMR, DynamoDB, and Redshift. Yeah, so these are all services on EC2. So if you have these skills, the reason why people don't get jobs on Fiverr is because they are offline. Yeah. As a buyer, I'll always want to engage with a seller who's online. So I'll come and filter. Right now, if I just when I just searched EC2, I got 347 services. But once I filter to only online sellers who are online right now, I've remained with only 15 gigs. Yeah? And out of these 15, I can see the first one deals with either AWS Lightsail. The other one is a React Node.js. This is a developer. Yeah. I will implement AWS EC2, ELB, S3, yeah, all that. Out of the 15, if you're among the 15, then the chances of you being picked is very high. Yeah. So if you want to get a job on Fiverr, the first thing is to try be online as much as possible. That is how a seller comes in and filters. Okay. So I've just demonstrated on the part of the seller's interface and the part of the buyer's interface. Now, let's go to what is going to give you a job. I'm just going to demonstrate how you're going to create a gig. Yeah, because a gig is what is going to give you a job. I'm going to give you some tips and also share some insights on how to make your gig attractive to a seller, to a buyer. So I'll just switch back to selling and then I'm going to move to gigs. So on my business, I come to gigs. But before I go to gigs, there's something that I've not shown you. Once you join Fiverr, I said you can sign up using your email address and you'll have to create a profile. That is personal information, your name, your country, your maybe certifications, education. Yeah. So for example, my profile, this is how my profile looks like on Fiverr. Let me just share that. So you can see I'm a cloud engineer and I've worked. And you can see this is my description. Basically, this is what I can do. And these are some of my reviews for the clients I've worked with. Okay. So online work is real and it does pay. It is real and it does pay. So I have like 4 gigs and I mentioned them. It's all about AWS and 1 gig on business plan writing. So I'll come to gig and now create a gig. So the reason why I'm going to take a lot of time to create a gig is because this is what is going to give you a job. When a buyer comes and searches for a service, they are going to see gigs. They're not going to see my profile at first. They're going to see gigs. So let me go on the part of create a new gig. And then this is where we get started. Okay. But one thing, if you're very new to Fiverr, before you create a gig, try and maybe sample around 5 gigs of other sellers so that you create yours in the best way. Of course, research on how they have put their titles, research on the pricing, because you don't want to put a price that is too high or too low. Yeah. So if you're offering, for example, cloud computing services, go and search for maybe sample like 10 gigs of people who offer that service, then see their pricing, then come with something moderate, not very low, not very high. Because as a buyer, if you charge something for around $5 or maybe it's too low, then I'll doubt your skills. Again, if I go too high and you're a new seller, nobody's going to pick you. Okay. So let me show you how you can sample. You can sample gigs. So let me just, with this other tab, I switch to buying. So for example, EC2 setup, EC2 setup. So depending on what I see, I can just choose 1 gig. So I'll just choose this gig by Muhammad Ali. I open it in a new tab. That is just 1 gig. So sample like even 10 gigs. So we can see for this guy has how many gigs? Quite a number of gigs. I think he's a level what? Yeah, he's a level 2 seller from Pakistan. Okay, so with this gig, let's see how it looks like. So I will set up Amazon AWS Lightsail or EC2 S3 bucket, fix AWS issues starting up from $20. Okay, this is the image that this person has used. Very attractive. I don't think it is bad. And the description about the seller is, that is the short description about the seller. Hello, are you looking for an AWS expert? Look no further. I'll set up AWS Lightsail or EC2 and install WordPress on it. Fix AWS issues, blah, 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 all the way down. So the guy has packages. The first package is of $20, another package is of 40, another one is of premium. That is how a gig looks like. Now let's go and set up our gig. So I'm going back to my gig. So you start by creating a gig title. As you can see, these are how gig titles look like. All of them start with I will do something, I'll do something, I'll do something for you. Okay. So I'm going to create a gig, and this one will be, I'll create a gig on I will migrate your website to AWS or hosts. So assuming that I'm dealing with migration services of websites, that is what I'm going to do for you. I will migrate your website to AWS Cloud or any other Azure, GCP. So depending on any other service, for this demo, I'm using cloud. But if you have any other skill, DevOps, data analytics, security, that is what you're going to offer as a service. Then the subcategory, the category falls under programming and tech, not graphic design, not digital marketing, programming and tech. Then subcategory, not web development, but my focus here is on DevOps and cloud. That's where it falls. Then service type, cloud management, cloud network and security, CI/CD, infrastructure as code, and that for this case, it's cloud management. Then search tags, very important. Search tags. What are search tags? So when a buyer comes on the interface, on the buyer's interface and searches for a service, definitely the buyer is going to use some keywords. So when you're requested for search tags, they just want for you to propose names that you think a buyer is going to search and find you. It reads, enter search terms you feel your buyer will use when looking for your service. So if somebody was looking for my service, this specific gig, definitely there will be AWS, because that is my specialty. That is one search tag. Web hosting, web hosting. Aha. What other? Migration, websites, and maybe just cloud. So you have to search for keywords and just be very sure that it's going to match with what the buyer is going to put so that you as a seller is going to be found. Okay. I hope that is clear. So take time in researching for keywords. Then that part is done. We move to, okay, there's something I did not put here. On gig metadata. So cloud providers, for me, it's Amazon Web Services. If you're able to do any other, Microsoft Azure or your multi-cloud, you can put both. My expertise is for this gig is migration because my gig title is I will migrate your web page to AWS cloud, and maybe configuration of the server. For now, let me just put that. Okay, so select the computing resources you support. EC2, VPC is going to be inside somewhere. Route 53 for domain, ELB for scaling, any other resources that you're going to use for that specific gig. Okay. So I want to believe up to that point it is clear before I move to the next step. The next step, we are going to deal with description. Now the gig description. Okay, before that, it's scope and pricing. So I want to know if we are together up to that point, or do you have any questions up to that point? Okay, so I believe we are okay. Thank you. So I'm going to proceed. So scope and pricing. This is where now you're going to put your pricing. So go back to the buyer's interface, research on what other sellers are quoting for their services so that you don't overcharge and you also don't undercharge. Okay. For a service such as writing, you can get a service as low as $5, maybe for writing 300 words. But for technical skills, you cannot do migration for $5. Yeah, that is very, very cheap. Yeah, in fact, somebody will just doubt your skills. Okay. So let me go back to that. So you can have three packages. You can choose you have three packages like for basic, standard, and premium. Okay. If you have a cheaper package but has less value or less features, and maybe the premium service can give you all services, but of course it's gonna be expensive. You can choose to have packages, and you can also choose not to have packages. So if I choose not to have packages, I'll just have one basic package. But let me just demonstrate using the packages. So I'm going to name my package for this, the basic package. Maybe I name it bronze. Then this other one, I'm going to silver. Then this one is gold. So the service is web, website hosting, migration, to AWS cloud. So depending on any service you're able to offer, this is just a demo. Okay. AWS cloud. And this is going to remain the same, maybe for other services. So if you have something extra, you can put to differentiate the services. But you also have the same option down here where you can just, I'm going to demonstrate that. But if you're able to just start differentiating it from this part, it's still okay. Okay. So for this package, basic package, delivery is going to be maybe 3 days. This one is going to be maybe 5 days. And then this one is going to take maybe 10 days. So what is going to differentiate? For the premium package, you're going to get a documentation, a functional environment, installation, configuration, migration, debugging, and maybe backup and performance. So that is going to be an expensive package. Maybe I put it as $200. Then for the bronze package, I'll choose not to put documentation, but I'll have a functional environment. I'm going to install, configuration, migration, debugging, and maybe I'm not going to do a backup. Okay, but I'm going to assure you of performance. Then I'm maybe going to put it at maybe $150. Then for the basic package, very basic, I'm just going to offer migration, and I'm not going to assure you of performance. No performance, I have to. But backup, debugging, the moment I just do it, it's done, and maybe installation and a functional environment. So if you don't think you have enough money, you can go for the basic package, but it will not give you all the services. So for that, maybe I'm going to charge maybe $50 or maybe 70. Yeah, so that's how it's going to be differentiated. So you also have extra services. For example, if a client comes and chooses the basic service that is supposed to be delivered in 3 days, but wants a fast delivery, yeah, so you're going to add for every fast delivery for a basic package. If you want it delivered in maybe 1 day, you're going to pay an additional $20. Yeah. If you only want the basic package, this one here, but you want a documentation which is only available with the premium package, then you're going to add an additional $50. Yeah. So this is just extra service. If you want a basic package but want something extra from the premium, then you're going to add some extra amount of money. Yeah. So it is not, it's optional, it's not compulsory. So I'm just going to save and continue. Then now briefly describe your gig. So I developed something that I'm going to use, but you can also research on how people have put their gigs. But I'm going to give some insight and tips on how you're going to do that. So this is what I developed. You should make it catchy. Then don't make it wordy, because no client wants to go about reading a lot of things. No, no client. Something that is organized. For example, if I put it here, if you're able, put it in point form. Okay. Ready to take your website to new heights? I specialize in hassle-free website migration to the powerful AWS cloud. Leave the technical complexities to me as I seamlessly transfer your website, ensuring top-notch security and performance. Maximize your website's potential with AWS cloud scalability and reliability. Let's make your migration journey smooth and exciting. Then my services, why choose me? Ndo hizo zote hapo, extensive experience, proficient in AWS services such as EC2, S3, RDS, CloudFront, and more. Yeah. So this is how a gig description looks. At least make it catchy. Yeah. You see the catch from the first point, ready to take your website to a new level. Let's look for this other seller. Aliandika aje here. Okay. So about the gig description was, hello, are you looking for an Amazon AWS expert? Look no further. And then you see it is well organized. If you put a paragraph that is too wordy, nobody goes through that. Yeah. So try make it point form. Okay. And try to convince the buyer. Okay. So we can proceed. That is on the gig description. So I'll save and continue to the second last step before I publish this gig, before it goes live. So the next step is the requirements. Get all the information you need from buyers to get started. So on this part, you're going to ask the client a question before they place an order. Yeah. So what type of information will you be interested before even a buyer contacts you? For me, I'll be interested first. Do you have the AWS account? Because if you come by and you don't have an AWS account, that means I have to set it up for you. So that is something I have to know. Yeah. If you're doing any other thing, if you're doing data analytics, the first thing you have to know is where is your data stored? Where am I analyzing it from before you even contact me? So before you contact me, the question I'm going to ask the client is, do you have an AWS account? Only that. So the buyer is going to get this question even before they contact me, of which you have the option of the free text. It's not charged. So depending on the information you want to know from the buyer before they contact you, you're going to ask that question. So whatever it reads here is where you can request any details needed to complete the order. There is no need to repeat any of the general questions asked above by Fiverr. So these are the default ones that are asked by Fiverr. Is the order for personal use, business use, or a side project? Which industry do you work in? So for my case, I'll just want to know if you have a AWS account. Done. So I'll add that question, then save and continue. So you have to have an image that is going to display with your gig. Yeah? You can choose to have a video or an image. I'll always advise you go for a video because videos are very catchy. But if you choose an image, please use an image that is catchy, captivating. Because if I go back to searching for gigs, if I look at the first, we know that humans we are visual. If I search, uh, if I'm looking at these 8 gigs, definitely there is one that is going to impress me. I don't know which one has impressed you because beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. But at least I know if I go through this gig, there's something that is going to be captivating to me. So your work as a seller is to come up with something that is captivating. Yeah, something that will make the attention of the buyer come to your gig. Yeah, if I find such a gig, for me this one hata nairuka tu kuanzia mbali sana. This one of Becky here. First of all, I can see nothing. Whatever is put is in very small fonts. I can see nothing. Yeah. But for which seller? I can see this one is very clear. I will configure EC2 instance and I see the image of that person. If you have to put your image, it has to be very professional. Yeah, not making faces, some funny background. Just do a professional photo, but try something that is going to be catchy. So for this Arif did a video. Yeah, yeah. So that is just a sample. Go through it and try analyze what type of images are captivating or what type of videos are captivating so that by the time you're creating yours, invest in Canvas, go just do some good research in something that is going to attract a buyer's attention. Because we all agree we humans are visual first, even before reading the gig title. So I'm just going to take a sample of a gig image from my computer. Um, that one there. So on-premise to AWS cloud, that is just a sample. It's not the best, just for the purpose of demonstration. Then I save that. So once you do that, if you're a new seller, you'll have to take an English test. So myself, I already did the English test long time ago. It's a very simple English test. If you're a Kenyan, you'll not fail. Maybe for a Tanzanian, ndio atakuwa na shida, but for Kenyans, it's very simple. Yeah. So once I'm done with this point, at this point I can choose to publish the gig. Now, publishing the gig goes live. Okay. And that is how you're visible on Fiverr. That's how you're visible on Fiverr. Okay, so you can see my gig has appeared here. Migrate your website to AWS Cloud. Now, after publishing your gig, that is not enough. That is not enough. I have to monitor it. I have to monitor it. For example, all my gigs, I have to monitor impressions. What are impressions? Impressions means that for this gig of teaching cloud computing, 88 people have seen it, and there's one click. There's somebody who got interested with my gig and clicked, but did not order. Yeah. So once you see that if the impressions are not doing very well, then there could be something, maybe the gig image, maybe the title, you have to restructure something. So always monitor the impressions. Or if you're getting a lot of impressions and you're not getting any clicks, inamaanisha hiyo nini yako is not captivating at all. Yeah. So try be online as much as possible, because I tried doing that by filtering. If you're not online, you cannot easily get a job. A buyer comes, gets 317 services, and when that buyer filters to only online sellers who are just online at that specific time, moves to even 15. So he's going to select one of the 15. That's why I say for Fiverr, it's very easy to get a job if you're online. Yeah. Now, how does a client approach you? Okay. If I was interested with this guy's gig, if I'm a buyer and I'm comfortable with the packages and the pricing and the ratings, I'll just come and contact that seller. That is on the buyer side. On the seller side, how does that message come live? Okay, so let me just go back to my dashboard. Let's look at some of the communication with my buyers. So I'm going to look at which one. Um, I don't know what we were communicating with this seller, this buyer. Okay, that was something different. Let me look at that. So this is theory. I would like you to be my tutor. So this gig, this communication was based on my gig of teaching cloud computing. So this is a client who came and wants me to be their tutor in cloud computing. And I think I agreed with that client and we worked around that. Another example is maybe this guy, baby something. Baby something comes and based on my teaching skills, the guy has a project with cloud formation. Can you please help me? Then we agree with that person. Yes, I can help you. Give me more information about the task. So, how do you start a negotiation with a client? First of all, once you are approached, you have to be very fast in responding, because if you take 3 hours, then the client is going to approach somebody else. Then, once you are approached, try be friendly. Ask for their budget, because Fiverr is a free market. You decide with the client. Like, for example, this client comes with a question. I have a project with cloud formation. Can you please help me? Maybe we can do it together on Zoom. And then I respond, yes, I can help. We discuss about that. He sends me the project. We look at that. We have a Zoom meeting. And should you go about it? Should I develop the cloud formation template for you? Do I guide you on AWS CLI and creating a Git repo? All of that. So we agreed with that client, send me a link, and we decided to discuss the budget on that call. It's that simple. That is how you get a job. But once you agree with the client, you send them the offer before you start the job. So I can create the offer. I choose create offer. And the offer will be on which of my gigs. That was cloud formation. It's going to be a single payment. Then describe the offer. So you will already have discussed with the client that job can be done with how many days, the client is going to communicate their deadline. That is the first thing you ask. When is the deadline? How much they are willing to pay for. Like you ask them for their budget, you give them their price, you negotiate. If the client think it's too high, you come low kidogo until you agree. So it's a matter of just agreeing. Okay. So once everything is set, we make out the number of days, the number of revisions, the price of that work to be done. You send it. You send that offer. The client will have the option of accepting the offer. So once the client has accepted the offer, it means that that money has already been paid for. Yeah. So you'll only be paid after you deliver the job and the client accepts the job. Yeah. So there is no way you're going to be conned unless if you start to work with the client out of the platform. That is when you're going to be conned, which is rare, but it's also there. So every time you have to work with a client, work on the platform, inside the platform, send the offer, and you only start the work once the offer is accepted. Let me show you maybe a sample of how an offer is accepted. So you see, this is an offer I sent to this client of $120, and it reads offer accepted. So once it's written offer accepted, you go ahead and start the job. So tips on succeeding on Fiverr. Let me just read that before I end this presentation, and then I invite questions. Number one is stay online as much as possible. That is the best way of getting a job on Fiverr. Stay online as much as possible. Then download the Fiverr app, because once a client reaches out to you, not all the time you're going to be on your machine or your computer. So you can just respond to the client on phone. Okay, set notifications on your phone so that you're able to respond very fast. Then create captivating gig image, video, and titles. Okay, that is what I've mentioned. Create more than one gig to increase your chances of getting a job. Now, let me explain this. If I have one gig, then that is the same gig that is going to be viewed and not being viewed by everybody. But if I have that same skill and create 5 gigs, I'm already increasing the chances of getting a job, because not the same client is going to see the same gig. Yeah. So if possible, for a new seller, I think you can create up to a maximum of 3 gigs. Utilize that even if you have the same gig, the same skill. Hata kama ni gig ya create EC2, you can create 3 gigs of creating an EC2. You're already increasing your chances of getting a job. Then set competitive pricing, not too high, not too low. Last, provide exceptional customer service. Be polite. When it comes to a point whereby hujafanya kazi vizuri, nyenyekea so that you're not given a bad review. And don't be a person of excuses and delivering projects very late. If you think something has happened, because you know we are Kenyans and we understand our Kenyan problems, saa zingine stima upotea, transformer inang'olewa pali fulani, just communicate to that client, hey, and don't tell the client of our Kenyan problems, oh, sijui kuna transformer iling'olewa ikaibiwa. Just try and explain what happened in a professional way, yeah, before the deadlines expires. So that marks the end of my presentation. If we have any questions, do you have any questions? Yeah, so Fiverr is a very good platform. If you have not tried it, please go try it. And don't give up. You're not going to get a job in the first day, the second day, the third day. Some might be lucky to even get a job in the second day. Others are going to last 2 weeks. As long as you may remain consistent, aggressive, trust me, for IT skills, hizo zote mmesema, DevOps, security, cloud, hizo kazi ziko tena kwa wingi. Yeah, so don't depend on the formal jobs enye haziko pale nje. Start kidogo kidogo hapa, start working with remote clients pole pole, and then you'll find that if you work with a client first time, probability of giving you a job for a second time is very high. I have people who worked with clients and they were given an actual job, either a long-term project or a job itself. Yeah. Yes. So Clinton is asking. Okay, maybe you're free to ask your questions. You're free to ask questions. Kevin, please don't give up on Fiverr. Don't give up. Don't give up. Every time ukiangalia impressions and the impressions are not doing very well, or maybe you're not getting any click, just try revamp that gig. Evo too. Other times just be revamping and then staying online. Even if it's getting the auto refresh tab. Yeah. Just try it. It has worked. We have people here wamepata pesa zao Fiverr through this same training that I taught. Yeah. So don't give up. Ukisikia energy imeisha, just call me and then I give you some energizer. Safari endelee. We have to get jobs, we have to work. Good. So Clinton, is this something we should be concerned about? Clinton, what? So far taxes ijatufikia hapa kwa Fiverr. The last time I reduced some money, sikuona tax. But Fiverr is going to take 20% of your income on every job. So David, no problem. I'm always open to mentor somebody. Bora tu ukuwe na hiyo the willing spirit to earn and not giving up. Yes. So do you have any other questions? Do you have a question? So if you don't have any question, okay, from Manasi. What about the payment option? Which is the best? So Manasi, for Fiverr, the available options are bank transfer and PayPal. Yeah. So hey, PayPal has been limiting your account. So maybe you're going to have some challenge kiasi, but you can have the option of a bank transfer. But I've never used it. Oh yeah, I think Pioneer was introduced. Let me check for the option of bank transfers. But Sijitumia have been using PayPal. But for bank transfers, it's only for US citizens. Okay. So I think I have no other questions. If you think I've not answered your question, you can just unmute and ask your question. Otherwise, I'll hand it over to the host.
All right, Janet, thank you so much for that amazing presentation. Come on, guys, let's have some virtual claps for Janet. Even if we can't do them physically, she's really done something amazing. Like, it's a really good job. Think about it. Like, we are around 30 people in this meeting, and I'm thinking 30 more Fiverr accounts are going to be optimized tonight, so that's a huge step forward. And thank you so much, Janet, for the amazing presentation. Without further ado, thank you guys for your time. I hope that you have an amazing evening, and we'll see you in the next. Bye bye.